Howdy, ladies and gentlefolk. Welcome back to Simon Reacts. Today, I'm joined by Minter and Harry, and we will be reacting to the 10 biggest lies ever told in history. Have you got any crazy lies, lad?
I'm trying to think about a lie I've told in my life, like a really bad one. I don't think there is.
Not a single lie. You've never told a lie.
No, I have. When I was younger, I stole like a little ornamental frog from one of my like when I was like 5. I stole it from like my friend's house, and my mum knew I'd done it, but I refused to tell the truth to her, and so she was even more upset that I wouldn't come clean.
Oh, that's cool.
No, I did steal the frog.
You know, like the Nando's chicken that they put on the table, and then they come around and collect to say like, "Oh, you've got your food and stuff." I stole one of those or a couple of those and said, "Yeah, everything's great." So I lied to the worker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Crazy, right?
How about you, Simon?
I mean, I've lied a lot, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
I'm not trying to expose ourselves, and then you're just gonna get off scot-free.
Wow.
No, I'm trying to think of one.
I see how you're moving, Simon.
I've just incriminated myself now. Look, I can't believe it. Don't worry,
Simon. You might be on this list.
Oh no, I don't
Simon,
know.
we'll watch everyone else's lies, right?
If you'd asked me first.
We all know you shouldn't trust everything you see on the internet,
trust
but
me,
as it turns out, we shouldn't believe everything that we're taught in school either. Our textbooks are overflowing with exaggeration, misinformation, and sometimes downright lies.
Ooh, okay.
Can the Great Wall of China really be seen from space?
Yes.
Is it true that
I'm
genius
gonna guess
Albert
no.
Einstein actually failed math class in high
Purely
school?
'cause this is
What
a video
other
about
nonsense
lies.
have we been spoon-fed? Let's
Or the
dive in
clickbait
and
apps.
find out.
True.
All right, ladies and gents, let's
wanna
kick
go
off
Machu
this
Picchu.
countdown of lies. When you think of world wonders, what comes to mind first? Machu Picchu, the pyramids, or the Great Wall of China? For us, it's the latter, and for good reason. Because what other world wonder is visible from space? Exactly. But here's the thing. The so-called Great Wall isn't even that great. The truth is that it simply cannot be seen from outside of our atmosphere. Even from the moon, which in the grand scheme of the universe is relatively close, it's still invisible. According to NASA, the unaided eye cannot see the wall from a low Earth orbit, despite it being 13,170 miles long. While it is a masterpiece of ancient engineering.
21,000 kilometers long.
Yeah, but it's just long and thin, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
21,000 kilometers long. I thought you could like walk across it. I thought that was the whole point, but no.
You've been very generous there as well.
It's 21,000. The world's not even 21,000 kilometers.
You've called it long and thin, Simon. That was very generous of you.
Circumference of the world.
Oh my god.
Oh, here we go.
The Great Wall is 3 times.
Hang on, hang on a minute. The circumference of the world is 40,000 kilometers. You're telling me half the world is fucking surrounded by this bloody wall? What? Length of Great Wall of China. It is. How is that a thing? How is it half the length of the width of the world?
It is nothing. In terms of width, it's only 20 feet at the bottom and 16 feet at the top. This myth first started circulating in the mid-1700s.
It's such a pointless wonder, isn't it?
That's way before we made it up onto the moon or started putting satellites into space.
Like, it had a
While over
purpose.
10 million people visit the winding Great Wall of
so-
China every year. Unfortunately,
Someone comment to me, please, for the love of God, how it's possible for it to be over half the circumference of the world. Okay, I'm really confused right now.
it's not thick
Maybe
enough
because of
to
like
be
the
seen
turns
from
and
the
twists, Harry.
stars. Myth busted.
Yeah, like that's not a straight line
Yeah.
across the world.
Now, if you
It's all
ever
crammed
took
in,
a
isn't it?
history class at school in the USA, we're pretty sure that you've heard of a certain George Washington. No, not George Washington Carver, the man who invented peanut butter, but George Washington,
say it
the
like
founding
that?
father who served as first president of the United States from 1789 to 1797. We've always been told of this famous tale about him and his dad in a cherry tree,
Have we?
and we've come to accept it wrongly as
Yeah,
fact.
see, I don't think this
If
is
you
one
need a
for
quick
us.
refresher, here's the
Yeah,
story in rapid
don't
time.
know.
Little 6-year-old George Washington was given a hatchet from
Why
his
is he
dad for
aged
his
like that?
birthday. George used it to cut down his dad's favorite
looks
cherry
like
tree.
45
Dad was
at
mad
6.
and confronted George, who instead of denying it, said the famous words, quote, "I cannot tell a lie." Here's the thing, though. "I cannot tell a lie" was a lie. Even though Washington was already a great
That horse
dude,
is
a
startled.
biographer named Mason
Bro,
Locke
that
Weems
horse's
exaggerated
face
his
is
notable
hilarious. Wait,
characteristic
look
great
at it.
dude.
He's just found out it was a lie.
Biographer named Mason Locke Weems exaggerated his notable characteristics even further. Weems simply made up the tale to highlight Washington's honesty and his good nature.
Wow.
That's cool.
Damn.
If we hadn't quite quenched your thirst for mind-blowing
Oh.
revelations
Yeah.
about world wonders, then fret not, because
go.
we've got an
Aliens!
absolute doozy about the pyramids coming right up here.
Alright.
If we asked you to tell us who built the pyramids, what would your response
Aliens!
be?
Aliens.
The ancient Egyptians, right? The wealthy put slaves to work, dragging incredibly
No,
heavy stones up
aliens.
slopes until finally they created an unforgettable landmark. Well, that's not quite
Landfish.
true either. Sorry to burst your bubble, pharaohs, but the majority of the manpower was in fact not the slaves. That's what the 19th century
Look
scientists
at these bloody
thought.
slaves claiming credit for everything.
Oh, Harry.
Hang on. Alright.
It's alright. That's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
That's tricky slaves.
No, let's move on.
It was the entire healthy population of ancient Egypt over a span of 85 years between 2589 and 2504
Lies.
BCE
Aliens.
that put blood, sweat, and tears into their
Yeah, I'm
national
sure it's like,
icon.
surely they can't
For
have built
those who
this
weren't
stuff, bro.
physically hauling the stone, they were preparing
Bro.
food for the builders, housing them,
There's so much
acting as
weird shit going
security,
on in there.
and some even headed out on long journeys in search of stone and metal.
cat.
Yeah.
After all of that cumulative
that.
work, it paid off.
Oh,
the
wait,
pyramids
weren't
are the
cats, like,
only wonder of the
worshipped or
They
something.
love
Yeah,
cats,
they
didn't
were.
they? He's just grabbing him
Why
by
is
the
he-
neck.
Yeah.
acting as security, and
Look at him
some
holding
even
it
headed
out.
out on
Look.
long journeys.
Oh no, I think no, but he's holding it by like, the scruff of its neck, which is actually like the humane thing to do. So maybe he's just like running around with his.
Oh
donny.
wait, they're actually in a war. Look,
Oh,
there's a
so
cat
he's saving.
flying.
He's
there's
saving
cats
it.
all over the
no,
gaff.
there's cats. There's cats. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
there's cats flying everywhere.
Oh, there's lots of cats. Now that I've looked at the bigger picture.
After all of that cumulative work,
got some arms
it
on him.
paid off. The
Awesome.
pyramids are the only wonder of the ancient world that still stands today. If you're curious, it's these ones that are long gone.
Wow.
Joining the Liar Liar Pants on Fire party next is the one and the only, the totally fake Loch Ness
Oh,
monster.
you
We
think?
know
Look at
this
that.
isn't exactly a giant shock because it's always been speculative evidence supporting Nessie's
I wish he was
existence.
real.
I'd still be shook to swim in the Loch Ness, you know.
Would you?
Like,
Just in case.
just mentally, I'd be like, bro, this Donny's gonna yam me up.
I wouldn't be scared of a monster. I just think there's weird things in there. Scottish people.
Like, so, there's weird things in there. Yes, Scottish people.
In this case is the so-called surgeon's photo.
a duck.
This photo, the one that helped Nessie to transition from an urban legend into a realistic and frightening
wish it was real.
possibility. This is the Loch Ness, located in Scotland.
If it was real, though, it
and the
would've been
stories
killed
of a
by now.
mysterious
Yeah.
creature swimming around
Give
in
us
its
the cunts.
waters actually go back to the 6th century CE. The first shred of evidence, well, false evidence technically, was taken by Robert Kenneth Wilson in 1934 and was assumed to be accurate for close to 60 years.
What?
Right.
However, all good things must come to an end.
Looks like
and
fucking
in
Jar Jar Binks in that
1994,
picture,
it-
mate. Look at him. Look at Jar Jar.
See, I rate this though. He went into effort to make this.
It was revealed that the shape of Nessie was nothing more than a toy submarine in disguise. What was a toy submarine doing there? Long story short, it was deliberately placed by a man named Marmaduke Weatherall. He used to work for the
Bloody
Daily
Marmaduke,
Mail
mate.
newspaper. And after they
silly guy.
ridiculed him for writing a piece about Nessie's footprints, which turned out to be false, he got his revenge, fooling the newspaper as well as everyone else.
Marmaduke changed the world.
We've actually got an entire video about Nessie. After this one, check it out. The link is in the description.
Fair dues.
Alrighty, moving on. Okay, when you think of a Viking, what's the first thing
Ooh.
that comes to mind? Besides the boats. That's right,
The
it's
helmet,
those
yeah.
big horned helmets. Yeah, well, we're sorry to say it, folks, but that too is a lie.
No!
It's
What?
just a stereotype that
No!
emerged as the result of Vikings becoming more and more prevalent in mainstream media. As it turns out, however, historians have looked at a number of Viking tombs, and not once have they ever found a helmet that had horns.
Oh.
Yes, Scandinavians
Aw, that-
probably did sport some sort of headgear
They
when
used to
they
drink
marched
out of
into
them as well,
battle,
apparently.
but there is no reason to believe that it was bedazzled with horns. In fact, that'd actually make it easier for the enemy to grab and remove.
True.
So where did the idea come from? The popular image of the Viking we know today actually dates back to the 1800s. It was then that Scandinavian artists like Gustav Malmström drew the horned headgear in their portrayals of the Viking people.
okay,
And then,
okay.
well, it just stuck.
The horns just got bigger and bigger.
Speaking
as
of
well.
unique outfits, our
MJ.
next fib is all about the former king of pop,
Jeez.
Michael Jackson himself. No matter how you feel about him as a person and all the controversy surrounding him, it's impossible to deny that he had a monumental impact on the music industry. When he wasn't releasing toe-tapping, chart-topping hits, he was creating dance moves like the moonwalk.
Boom.
That every fan around the world would try to imitate
you
in front of their
can try to do that
mirrors
when
at
I was
home.
can't
Sorry
do
to
it.
burst your moon
You can do it,
bubble,
Simon, can't
but
you?
that captivating moonwalk wasn't
not like
actually
that.
invented
No, but you
by
can do it.
MJ. Sure, he showed it to the world when he was performing Billie Jean at the Motown 25th Anniversary Live Show in 1983, but it wasn't his to show off. Jackson actually learned it from Casper Candidate and Cooley Jackson, who
Okay.
performed it on Soul Train in the
Oh!
1970s.
Mate, he did it
Marcel
smooth as
Marceau,
well, you know.
AKA Bip the Clown, showcased the move prior to MJ. And even before those guys, the move's inaugural performance came from tap dancer Bill Bailey. Back then, it wasn't even called the moonwalk. Any guesses? The backslide.
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
Creative that.
Okie dokie. So who here has ever heard of something called carbon dating?
Me.
It's got nothing to do with Tinder. It's a method used to analyze materials that once exchanged carbon dioxide with the atmosphere and decipher when that exchange happened. What? In other words, archaeologists
heard of
use
it before.
carbon dating to determine when things were living. We thought that this method was a great way to measure when trees, humans, animals, and plants thrived. And the professor who produced the first carbon dates way back in 1949, Willard Libby, was given the Nobel Prize. So, as you can see, the scientific world took it pretty darn seriously. But since then, scientists have actually recognized that carbon dating is subject to error.
Right.
Why?
Well,
Because of a variety
take
of
it back.
factors,
Yeah.
including contamination by outside
something else,
sources of carbon
scientists.
in the environment. This affects the natural decay and makes the evidence all a little wishy-washy. Plus, other elements like the fact that the same plant, one in America and one in Greenland, for example, can grow in different eras due to things like temperature variations.
Oh.
So if carbon dating is an actual...
This is,
So it's a
we
load
need
of
to put the clip
bollocks.
in of Ethan saying, that's amazing, but because I don't care.
Yeah, no, do you know, Harry, I was just about to pause it and say,
Yeah.
well, this one's pointless, bro. Just skip it.
Okay, you might not be old
the
enough
fuck
to
is that?
remember this. We certainly aren't. But there was a time where the big tobacco companies ran advertising campaigns that said, and we are not kidding,
Smoking-
cigarettes are
Yes,
good
Yeah.
for your health.
It makes you healthy, I
We're
remember
all
that.
well aware of the health
Bro,
risks, so we won't dwell
cigarettes
on it.
is
But
such a
back in
weird
the
thing.
mid-1900s, companies were getting doctors' approval to sell cigarettes. In 1951, L&M advertised their filters as just what the doctor ordered. In 1949, an advertisement for Viceroys featured a dentist that told the customers that, as your dentist, I would recommend Viceroy.
Money talks, baby.
In the 1920s and 30s, Lucky Strike used celebrity endorsements who would say things like, I protect my voice with Lucky.
What?
And Craven A began marketing its cigarettes under the slogan, for your throat's sake, as early as 1939. But as we later found out, this was nothing but lies, sprinkled with misinformation and topped with a few more lies. It worked though. In
So you know what'd be mad,
1950s
right?
America, 45%.
Imagine in
yes,
20 years,
I think
we
this,
see
you
another
know-
video, and it says smoking is actually good for you.
No.
Or just like something now
Right.
that we don't know is bad. That is
True.
like really bad. Like they comes out like bananas are really bad for you or something. I don't know. Or like, well, that must be something made recently. I guess.
Something will do us in. Or it'll be like some sort of alternative like food, you know, like all the new vegan remakes and stuff like that. And they'll just be like, listen, if you've been eating that vegan chicken shawarma out of Sainsbury's, unfortunately, you're probably gonna die soon.
45% of the population smoked. By the numbers, that would have been close to 70 million people.
my God.
When medicine proved the associated health risks, companies changed their advertising tactics. Instead of, we're good for you, it became, we're not as bad for you as everyone else. And you're gonna smoke anyway, so smoke our product.
That's crazy.
Fine,
You know
everyone's
who
addicted
else
by that
put out
one.
a few
Yeah.
false claims? Thomas
Not
Edison.
Thomas Edison.
Would you believe that one of the most important inventors
they
of
gonna
the
slander
last
on his name?
200 years, a man famous for inventing the light bulb, didn't actually invent
Wow.
the light bulb? It's a weird thought, isn't it? Edison managed to file an astounding 1,093 patents, but the light bulb was not one of them. In the year 1800, the first stages of light bulb technology were already in the works thanks to Alessandro
Ooh.
Volta. Our main man,
he's got
Thomas
better names for
Edison,
electric,
well, he
Volta.
wasn't even born
Yeah.
until 1847, nearly 50 years later. A number of people added different elements to the light bulb. Warren de la Rue made Alessandro Volta's version more efficient in
Music's
the
getting really
1840s.
Yeah.
Then English chemist Joseph Swan improved it again in the
Yeah.
1860s.
Bit of English-
but
bit
it
of
was
English
Edison
influence
in
as well.
1879 who created the cost-effective finishing touches and took it to mass
Harry, the
market.
type of guy to
Hardly
get a
an
house
original
and say, I only
idea,
want
if you
English
ask
light bulbs.
us. Okay, from one famous inventor to another,
Ooh.
we have no doubt that you've heard of Albert Einstein, the
No.
man famous
No,
for
no,
They're
having
not
Don't
going to
do
cross my
this.
dreams about Albert Einstein.
Yeah,
are they?
no, they can't do
So,
this.
Don't do it.
couldn't even pass math class in high school.
Oh.
How is this possible? It's not. It's a lie. For a long time,
Right.
it was widely believed that the ingenious
so
Einstein
he's just
actually
even better than we
failed
thought.
basic
Yeah,
math.
so he is actually
In
just
truth, it was the complete opposite.
smart.
He'd already mastered differential
Yeah.
and integral calculus by the time he was 15.
Oh.
And just like all kids at that age do in their spare time, he came up with an alternative for the Pythagorean theory, just for fun.
Fair.
I bet he
Quick
got bullied
bonus
at
entry.
Bro,
Can we get a
100,
drum roll,
bro,
please?
100.
This is a modern lie that
he grew
pops up
older
every
and
single
figured out how to
day,
make
and
other
it's
people
called
disappear.
Photoshop. Take a look. Miranda Kerr's waistline was changed for the cover of Vogue.
Right.
And according to the 2016 Maxim magazine, Priyanka Chopra has no armpits. We have seen Photoshop cover-ups in the media
that?
time and time
What's
again, and they are not going away anytime soon.
It's just like it's like Simon thumbnails. It's like the truth. It's like the truth, but a little bit embellished, embezzled. I don't know what the word is.